So I can't trust my device to go off for an alarm, so I bought like this battery operated clock. If you put the thing on the hour, it beeps. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, this is going to be the don't panic episode. I know there are a couple of games the Yankees didn't score much offense, but we're going to go over the Yankee offense and explain why this 2024's team is different from the years past. And so don't complain with the offense if they don't score some runs there. So this is going to be a filling out episode. We're going to give you going to throw a life vest at you. Maybe you got to lay down at the psychiatrist your office there. So we're going to kind of go over that and explain why you shouldn't panic and why a couple of Yankees are coming back strong, mainly Judge and Rizzo. Plus we'll look at the Yankee pitching staff overall. I know even with Garrett Cole and the bullpen, a little thinner than it usually used to in years past, but we'll go over some of the bullpen stats here. So, later in the episode, you might have to get a Red Bull, a cup of coffee, get a little closer to that TV set because I'm going to throw some stats at you, explain why, this pitching staff has been pretty good, at least at the start of the season. And of course, we'll look at Art Shalek. I kind of mentioned on my podcast, but again, celebrating his 100th birthday very recently. Not only the oldest Yankee still left alive, but the oldest Major League Baseball player still left alive. And I guess we'll give him his fair due. Go over his career. Not really great, but of course, it's a good story overall. Hey, we all wish we could reach 100 there. So a lot of good stuff for you this episode. But before we get started, as I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, there's an audio podcast version of the show. So, you could learn a little bit more about Art Shalek a little bit sooner. So if you want to get advantage of that and a lot of other cool stuff, of course, always looking at the regular team as we go along during the regular season here, as we get little wrap-up reports and stuff like that as we go along here in this 2024 campaign. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, wherever you listen to a podcast. I don't care if it's a comedy podcast. I don't care if it's a horror podcast, another sports podcast. Look up Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there. And of course, if you're watching right now on YouTube, you really should have done it a while ago, but make sure you subscribe there as well. You don't want to miss an episode. And if you're watching on TV, you got a lot more duties on your hand there. Go to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there. And of course, if you're a TV watcher, I know you like TV, you're holding on to the old school, but there's this new thing that the kids are doing right now called podcasting, listening to podcasts. Make sure wherever you go to get a podcast, subscribe there as well. You want to cover all those bases. So we got off to a good start of the season there. Of course, the Yankees, as we all know, in Houston, sweep the Houston Astros and, get pretty much carried themselves away the whole way, pretty much winning every series they possible there. I know the first one wasn't until finally Toronto, but overall, team was looking great. Everything was looking fine. Again, not relying on home runs, a fluid offense, hitting with runners in scoring position. Again, stuff we haven't seen, for the Yankees in a recent number of years. And then the Yankees hit a bit of a wall a little bit. It was mainly during the home stretch against the Tampa Bay Rays as well as the Oakland Athletics, where again, the Yankee offense was a complete no-show, and people kind of started to panic a little bit, like, oh my God, this is just like last year's team. What's going on with them? They're not hitting. Well, look, that's going to happen a little bit. So, again, I want to have this little segment where it's going to take you off the ledge there. So you don't go off the Brooklyn Bridge, but this is going to be the same, Yankee team as last year. Yes, they're going to hit a little bit of wall, a little bit different. But a couple of things I have to throw at you. Of course, they got off to a great start. In fact, at one point, they had the best record in baseball, which I think the Yankees are always going to be hovering around there. I mean, you look at them, you look at the Dodgers, those teams are always going to be around maybe the top 3 or 4 teams who's got the best record in baseball. But you had to expect at some point for the Yankees to come back down to earth a little bit. You're not going to win every series outright. You're not going to have, just the offense teeing off and scoring 7-8 runs and you're getting a great pitching performance and you're winning games, 7-2, 7-5 like that. I mean, at some point the Yankees were going to hit a little bit of reality a little bit, so that eventually happened there. But I just want to give a number of reasons why, again, this is still a much better team, much better offense than what we saw, in 2023 with this Yankee team there. Again, because they're still doing things that we didn't see them doing last year. Mainly, the 3 main cogs has been mainly Oswaldo Cabrera and Justin Volpe. I mean, mainly those 2 of them hitting with runners in scoring position, passing baton, and as well as, of course, we saw just the influence of Juan Soto. Even if he doesn't do anything, just the way he grinds out at bats, the way he works pitch counts. I mean, the Yankees, that's kind of, he's kind of influenced the rest of the lineup up and down to do that. So, again, this is not last year's offense. So even if they have a couple of games here or there where they don't score any runs there's no reason to panic, no reason to say, oh, this is the same team as last year, because they're not. I mean, it's a much better offense. So just, if that happens a couple of games, you just keep in your head, like, look, it's baseball. You got a long season. You got 6 months there. And if you have a couple once in a while where the offense blanks, don't say this last year's team because it's not even close to last year's team. It's a much better offense than last year's team there. And of course, some of the Yankees that, some of the reason why they have some of these games where, they haven't scored runs is mainly because two guys who you figure are going to be good, eventually going to start kicking the gear a while. And it's mainly Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo. Now, the last episode here, at least on the TV/YouTube episode, kind of showcased Judge a little bit that he has been struggling out of the gate, hitting around 200, which we're not used to the Judge, and kind of wondering what's going on with the guy. I kind of referenced that maybe, remember back in spring, he was having some issues with his core and his abs and stuff like that. They do the MRI, and it's like, is he really 100%? Is he hurt a little bit? Is that why? Could still be the case a little bit, but it looks like he's finally starting to break out of it. And another Yankee that had been struggling a little bit has, of course, been Anthony Rizzo, but now just very recently been named the American League Player of the Week. He had a bit of an offensive explosion himself, and I think those two will start getting rolling a little bit. And if you just put those two in the middle lineup, obviously Giancarlo Stanton's been much better, at least to start the season, than even I thought he would be. So kudos for him for that. Even if he cooled down a little bit, again, it's a better version of Stanton than we've seen last year. So again, overall with the Yankee offense, don't read the panic. Even if they have a couple of games where they don't score any runs, still overall, collectively, this is a much better offense than last year. I know there's a couple of Yankees, such as like Gleyber Torres, you still want to see him get it going. Again, Judge has been a little bit better, but you still like to see him get going. But there's a lot of room for improvement for here. So again, a couple of games that don't score runs, don't give up on the team. And you got to figure, look, the Yankees were going to roll the whole way and win 100 games. They got off to a great start, fine. At some point, they're going to come to earth a little bit, and that's kind of what happened a little bit. So, but overall, I think the Yankees are in good shape. But we'll go over some of the numbers of some of the Yankee players I mentioned. Now, Judge, we looked at his numbers last time. A little bit more improvement now. He's got it up to, at least at this moment, his average up to 211. Again, maybe like a week or two ago it was 200. Okay, so 211 is still not great, but he's hitting a little better. But you started getting the long ball going a little bit, and you saw that in the Milwaukee series, up to 6 home runs, 18 RBIs. Now his on-base plus slugging percentage is right now is .777. Now, for a normal player, that's okay, but it's still 200 points over his career average, which is 975 there. So you figure at some point Judge is going to improve. So again, he's starting to hit a little bit better. But of course, I mentioned also another player we've been kind of waiting on a little bit to get it going, and that's Anthony Rizzo. Again, winning the American League Player of the Week, and that was the week of April 22nd through April 28th. But we'll go over his numbers during that stretch there. So hitting .407, so getting the batting average up there, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs. With a .926 slugging percentage, and of course during that stretch hit his 300th career home run there, so a good milestone for him there. So looks like Anthony Rizzo getting a little going. Judge is slowly getting there, and there's a couple other guys again like Gleyber Torres. Again, he had a couple of big hits during that Milwaukee series. I don't say Gleyber's back yet, like that, but at least a little bit of improvement, so he could get a little bit better. And again, mainly two of the Yankee, I think really great surprise for the Yankees this season, as mentioned before, has been Anthony Volpe and Oswaldo Cabrera. They got off great starts. They cooled a little bit, but you started to see them hit a little bit as well. So, again, they would go back to earth a little bit, but still, overall, these Yankee offense, I like it. Still fluid, still good. You see even Boone tweaked with the lineup a little bit. Verdugo in the cleanup spot there during the Milwaukee series. That seemed to really get him going. And you saw those 2 games where they scored 15 runs on back-to-back nights there. And not too many offenses can do that. That's not something you see too often there. So the Yankee offense, I think, is fine. So, again, if they have a couple games where they don't score any runs, don't panic. It's going to happen. It's baseball. It's like that. But comparing this team to last year's Yankee offense, it's night and day. I mean, last season's Yankee offense, remember you had like Donaldson, you had Hicks, and even going back the year before that, having Gallo just being absolutely clueless at the plate, striking out, grounding out, no offense, no excitement. This Yankee offense now much better than that one last season there. So even if they have a few games where they don't hit as well, again, not a room for panic there. So and again, as we go along, I think Judge will be better. And again, once Judge really starts hitting his stride there, then I think you really see this offense take it off, and it'll be much better there. So again, if you're going up to the Brooklyn Bridge, you had the game against Oakland where the Yankees split. Against the Oakland A's, one of the worst teams in baseball. They split 2-2 at home. You can't do that. So you go up to the Brooklyn Bridge, you're like, oh my God, it's over. I got to jump off. But don't do that. The 2024 Yankee offense is much, much better than recent seasons. So, just stay on the bridge. Don't go. Stay on the bridge. Now, the Yankees, at least on the offensive mode, had a little bit of a setback. Of course, last episode we mentioned that DJ LeMahieu got the green light to start a rehab assignment, and unfortunately it lasted about one at bat. So, of course, we know he was dealing with the cracked foot there. They had the fracture. He had the fracture. He had the MRI. Even though it didn't look like it healed that much, but still he did get the green light to start a rehab assignment. He said that look, he was doing running drills and fielding drills and hitting drills. He felt fine, no discomfort, so that's why he got the green light, and it lasted about 5 seconds. So he started with the assignment with the Double-A Somerset team there, and had one at bat, which he struck out, and of course he needed to leave the game early with discomfort in the foot there. So looks like this is going to be an issue for him, and pretty much, look, I don't want to write the guy off totally, but look, the writing's on the wall here with his foot, and this has been going on for almost like 2 seasons now. Again, he had a situation where he could have maybe had surgery on it. He opted not to do that, which, maybe he wanted to play it out, tough it out, so you like that part of it with him, but look, the writing's on the wall here that this is an issue with the foot, so they haven't really given any timetable when he's going to be able to start another rehab assignment again. So, at this point, you almost like got to, almost midnight put DJ LeMahieu in the both, at least in the pitcher frame for this 2024 season here. And overall, you look at him. Look, he's been struggling the past couple of years. Is it the foot? Is it not the foot? We don't know the situation here, but at least for the near term, I don't think you can really count on DJ LeMahieu coming back for the season for this team. And if he does come back, what shape he's going to be? Again, you green light the guy for a rehab assignment, and he only lasts one at bat, and you got to take him out there. So a really bad sign. So I don't know, it's got to be a situation where he's got to be off that foot for a long time before he even starts up his baseball activities again. And at that point, I don't even know what he has left there. So again, hate to say it, but look, the writing's on the wall here with this guy. At least for 2024, I don't think he's going to be part of the equation. And if it's a chance of, hey, look, you got a couple years left in the contract, let's make the best of it. And if you need to have some sort of surgery or procedure right now to fix the foot, then just fix the foot now, get it over with. I don't think the Yankees really need him. I mean, yes, DJ LeMahieu hitting on good strides and being the DJ LeMahieu from 2019, that'd be great. But I don't even know if that guy exists anymore. So you can't, counting on someone that, that existed like 4 or 5 seasons ago, because again, he may not be that player anymore. So if it's a situation where he needs to get the surgery and just get, nip it in the bud, rip the Band-Aid off, that might mean the end of his 2024 season, fine. But at least he'll be a better version of himself going forward here. So the Yankees got to figure out what they want to do with this guy. You can't just, have him come back, have a, relapse, come back, have a relapse, have a comeback, relapse. Find what's going wrong with the foot, and if you need surgery, have the surgery, get it done. I think the Yankees have been fine. Again, Oswaldo Cabrera has been okay there. John Birdie, I know he's been kind of rehabbing from an issue there, but he'll be back soon there. I think they can man the fort at third base. Second base, I know Gleyber Torres has been tearing the cover off the ball, but at least I think he'll be getting better a little bit eventually. At least he's competent enough defensively, so you don't need DJ to rush back. And again, we don't know if DJ what he even is right now. So if he needs to have the surgery, just get it done, rip the Band-Aid off. Now we know the mission for 2024 for the Yankees is at least get the offense better, and that's what they kind of used the offseason for. We saw them improve that, and again, that's what kind of a lot of the attention was going to, mainly because not only Soto, but Verdugo, bringing Trent Grisham there, and of course you had some Yankees coming back, such as like Anthony Rizzo, and kind of focus on this team being more dynamic offensively. Got the new hitting coach James Rawson, but of course, without baseball, as you all know this, pitching really is still the rules the roost there, and you have to have good pitching. So I figure we talked a lot about the offense, at least the first part of this episode, and probably pretty much been harping on it a lot. But overall, you got to look at the Yankee pitching, which you kind of need. Still has been there up to par now. Of course, you don't have Garrett Cole. Of course, the Yankees during the offseason got rid of Michael King in the trade there to get Soto. And of course, we got the news a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, that Jonathan Loáisiga had to be shut down with Tommy John surgery. So again, overall, it's not your usual Yankee pitching staff as we've been used to, which really hasn't been a problem for the Yankees even for a long time. Even in years when the Yankees struggle and maybe don't make the playoffs, the pitching's always been there, so it hasn't been like the complete, this is a dumpster fire there. But, obviously with all the attention going to the offense and people like Soto and stuff like that, and even Judge struggling, still garners a lot of the offense, but we have attention, but we have to also look at the pitching there, which at least, about 29, 30 games in, so it's about almost 1/5, about 20% of the season there. Let's look at the Yankee pitching there, and you got to give them to do that. Despite some of the, they're both putting some names in there you're not really used to, and it looks a little thin at sometimes. And of course, the starting rotation, you don't have Garrett Cole in there, but overall, as a pitching staff, they have actually got off to a pretty decent start here. So this is the part of the episode where it may seem boring. It's going to be very analytical numbers and stats here, but of course, it is important that, the numbers are what the numbers are, and so far for the Yankee pitching staff, it has been rather good here. So this is the part where you may want to turn up the volume a little bit, just get a little tuned into the TV or the little smartphone screen there. So I'm going to throw some good stats at you with the Yankee pitching staff. So So we're going to look overall now. This is not just American League and National League. This is all of baseball. We'll compare the Yankee pitching staff with the rest of baseball. And again, that's right now with 29 games into the season at this point, right second. So maybe the next 2 games they could get absolutely bombarded and slammed and give up like 15 runs like the Yankee offense did to the Brewers and change everything. But at least now 29 games in, here's the stats here, and again, pretty good stuff overall. So you look at a pitcher stat. What do you look at first? ERA, earned run average. So Yankees right now, second in all of baseball with an ERA collectively of 3.08. And I think you would take that as pretty darn good there. So second in ERA of all of baseball for the Yankee pitching staff. Now we'll look at saves. And of course, we know with Clay Holmes right now, at least at this point, sporting a 0.00 ERA, which I didn't even think that was possible for him. But again, he's gotten off to a great start. But you look at the Yankees in saves right now, they lead the majors with 11 right now. So, and again, mainly that's because Clay Holmes, again, he's had a couple times where you hold your breath a little bit. There's a runner on second base. Oh my God, that guy could score on a single. But Holmes has been nailing these things down early on in the season there. So I got to give him his due for that. Again, after struggling a little bit and be a little up and down, in 2023. Another good stat here. So we'll look at with wins. You got to win games there. So the Yankees tied with 4 other teams for most wins in the league there with 19. Again, 29 games in, there were a number of teams with 19 wins there. So Yankees tied with all those teams. But again, still the Yankees right at the top there. The pitching staff. Now we're going to do a little flip here a little bit. So, you want to be top there when it comes to like saves and ERA and wins like that. But of course, you don't want to give up hits and runs like that. So you want to be at the bottom part of the list. And again, this is now good news for the Yankees here. So we want to look at hits. How many hits does the Yankees the pitching staff give up right now? Right now they're at 23rd, so like 23 out of 30 teams are the Yankees are sort of the bottom, giving up 213 hits. So again, these are the stats where you want to be at the bottom of the list. So that's okay for the Yankees. That's a good thing. You earn runs. How many earned runs is your pitching staff giving up right now? Yankees also there at the bottom at 26th with 90 runs given up, earned runs given up. So again, that's a good thing. You don't want to be the staff that gives up a lot of runs. You want to be at the bottom list. So another good news for the Yankees. Now strikeouts, could say a lot, not really mean too much, just based how you get people out. But again, you want strikeouts. But right now the Yankees look like they're in the middle of the pack, 13th of all the baseball pitching staffs with 249 strikeouts. So that's okay. Walks given up, you don't want to give walks. So Yankees not too great there, not terrible, but 9th right now in walks given up at 106 walks. And you look opposing batting average. So how's your pitching staff, keeping, obviously facing off against the other team's offense there. Right now, the Yankees 6th there, so a little up on the list. Opposing hitters against the Yankee pitching staff are hitting 211. So, yeah, you don't want to be, you like to be a little further down from that, but it's not exactly terrible because that just means what's the opposing team batting average, so they just might get a hit and then like the next player could get out and hit to a double play, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But you look at all the key stats, again, ERA, saves, and wins, the Yankee pitching staff pretty much high up there, and the things you don't want, such as walks and hits and stuff given up and earned runs, the Yankees at the bottom. So overall, I look at this Yankee pitching staff, and this is without Garrett Cole, obviously without Loizaga. Again, you got some new faces in here like Stroman, who's kind of still getting adjusted. I think obviously he's gotten off to a good start, decent start here for the Yankees. You got a couple of new faces. You got players trying to come back from injuries, such as Nestor Cortez, as well as Rendon trying to right himself from a bad 2023. And of course you have Luis Gil, who the Yankees threw out there as the 5th starter. Again, mostly been positive for the Yankees. And Clark Schmidt, we know his situation, kind of the middle road guy who was, the Yankees converted from a bullpen guy to a starter there. Again, he is what he is. I mean, he's a 4th or 5th starter. He goes 5-6 innings at most, like there. But overall, collectively, it's the Yankee pitching staff, the starting staff there, without Garrett Cole. And of course, you look at the Yankee bullpen. Again, this is no Michael King, no Loizaga. And of course, we've got some pieces still got to come back, such as Tommy Kahnle and Scott Efros. When are they ever going to get back? We're not sure. So the Yankees got throwing guys out there like, Ian Hamilton, Dennis Santana, for example. So these are not really household names you're too familiar with, but overall the Yankee pitching staff has been pretty decent. And of course, we'll get Cole back eventually as long as there's no setbacks there. And of course, at some point you're going to probably see Tommy Kahnle, even though it's like the rehab comeback. This is never going to seem like it's going to take place, but he should be back at some point. And of course, Cashman always pulling moves, and of course getting Mike Tonkin recently from the Mets, and I'll get into him a little bit, introduce him, even though didn't really give you a good first impression during the Brewers series. But nevertheless, Cashman's always bringing these guys here, and of course you still have the trade deadline to make some improvements on that Yankee bullpen. But overall, for the Yankee pitching staff overall, at this point you have to give them a B+A there. So you want the offense always to get going, but you still need the pitching staff to solidify everything. And so far, they've been doing a good job there. And staying on the Yankee bullpen, I guess this is the good as time as ever to introduce Mike Tonkin. Again, someone the Yankees picked up off the Mets. Waiver wire there now. He's a guy who's been bouncing around baseball a little bit, so kind of go over his stats a little bit. Again, he's a guy who we don't know how long he's going to be here, but again, he's always been kind of a specimen guy. I mean, he's 6'7", 220 pounds, kind of a lanky righty there. Has a little bit of a funky delivery, so you can understand why teams would want to keep taking a shot at this guy. He is 34 years old, so not exactly a spring chicken, and maybe this is kind of his last really run to really make something of himself. But we'll look back at his stats. So far, I mean, at least in 2024, he's had a bit of a roller coaster ride. So originally signed on with the Mets. They ended up designating for assignment. Then the Minnesota Twins picked him up. Then the Minnesota Twins cut him. Then the Mets picked him back up again. And then the Mets put him on the waiver wires. And it looks like Cashman picked him up here. So this guy's been having a bit of a very, very bumpy ride here in 2024. Hopefully finds a home with the Yankees. Maybe he can solidify himself in there, one of these bullpen slots there, and beat maybe whether it's a sixth inning guy or set it like that. But none of us will go back to his career because maybe not someone you're familiar with. So now he has 7 years of major league experience. That's major league. Now you say 34 years old. Where it happened to a couple of other years, but he did spend some time in Japan. He spent a year in Japan. He also, in the middle of all that, spent a year in the Mexican League. So this is a guy who's been bouncing around, trying to really find himself. So you always had. It seemed like he has a lot of this raw talent, but again, never able to sort of lock down a stable bullpen job like that. And if you want to look at his major league career overall, again, not fantastic numbers, just 11-9 in 7 seasons, with an ERA of 4.39. And again, I mentioned before, again, he's a tall guy, 6'7" there. And again, those are the guys that, even though they're, probably like 60 feet, 6 inches away from the home plate down the pitcher's mound, when you get those tall guys there, and if they can really, arc their body the right way, it looks like the ball is actually coming on people a lot harder than it is. And if you remember former Yankee closer David Robertson, that's the same way. I mean, he was a much shorter guy at like 6 foot, but just the way his delivery was, a little bit of funky arm angle, the ball actually get up to batters quicker than they would realize there, and they'll be able to get some swing and misses there. And this guy has a little bit of funky delivery as well. I don't say he's as good as David Robinson. Of course, it's like 7 foot, 6 inches taller than David Robinson, but nevertheless, so that's why I think a lot of his physicality is probably why a lot of teams at least want to give a shot there, but unfortunately never seems to be able to land anywhere for a long period of time here. So can't say this guy's going to be here very long again. He could be here just for a couple of weeks, and then maybe he's gone again, after a couple of bad starts. But, this is Wade Cashman been doing this, pretty much since the off season, just bringing a lot of guys in here off the waiver wires, a lot of minor league invites, and then if they can make the team, sort of like Dennis Santana, for example, he was able to make something of himself. We'll see how long the Yankees ride him out there. And I guess Michael, Tompkin is kind of in that same boat there. And again, we're still waiting on some arms to come back, as mentioned before, such as Tommy Kahnle should be here eventually, even though it's taken forever, as well as Scott Efros. We also have Lou Trevino working back his way from Tommy John surgery. So the Yankees are probably going to have some more arms coming in eventually as the season goes along. But there's going to be gaps here. Again, the Yankees have some stretches here where they play like 17 games in a row, and you got some pitches that are going to be winded a little bit. So Cashman's going to have to do some of these quick moves here. So maybe this Michael Tompkin is one of those quick moves where then 2 weeks from now the Yankees DFA him and they bring another arm here for a couple of weeks and then burn that arm out and DFA him again there, because again, his bullpen has been okay for the Yankees. Again, the Yankee bullpen over the past couple of seasons has been a real strength for them. I think it's overall good for the Yankees. It's been pretty solid, but you're going to see a lot of mix and matches. And even look at Rob Manaccio, wasn't really here for the start of the season. Eventually, the Yankees brought him up here. They'll ride him for a bit. Maybe they option him back down or something like that. We don't know there. But again, Cashman kind of doing a lot with the bullpen, a lot of action there. So we'll see how long Tonkin lasts. But again, didn't give you a good impression. They brought him out during the Brewers series there. That was that first game where the Yankees took a lead in extra innings. They could have won another inning with Clay Holmes, and I'll kind of get that a little bit as well. But put Tonkin out there. And of course, he blows the game and loses the game for the Yankees there. So not a good first impression by Tonkin, but let's see. We'll give him a few more chances. Let's see what he got. So people have been questioning some of Aaron Boone's bullpen decisions lately, mainly with Clay Holmes. Now there's 2 games actually I could think of that really, cost the Yankees. I mean, these are 2 wins the Yankees had in the pocket that, if they brought, Clay Holmes out for another inning, probably could win the game. So really the Yankees should maybe should have really 2 more wins than they do have right now on the record. And of course, we'll look at the 2 games I mentioned before. It was that Milwaukee game with Clay Holmes only pitched about, let's see, he had 10 pitches there. He gets out of the gets out of the ninth inning there, and the Yankees decide not to bring him out for another inning there. When the Yankees eventually took the lead, brought in Talkin, as I mentioned, he blows the lead, and of course the next inning blows the game. The Yankees lose the game there, and people questioning Aaron Boone. Why didn't he go with Clay Holmes a little bit? He was rolling well. He only threw 10 pitches. You got the lead now. He's your closer. You should save the game. But of course, now this was Aaron Boone's excuse for that. Now he mentioned that at least at that point, it would have made his 13th appearance for the season, and if he stayed on the pace, he would be pacing about 78 appearances for the whole season. And of course, they don't want to push Holmes that much with his workload, just because, remember recent history, Holmes has had some shoulder issues there, and if you want to go back to the 2022 playoffs there, you can go back during the Cleveland series that, again, thankfully the Yankees won, but he didn't want to pitch Holmes 2 games in a row, and that's in the playoffs. I mean, that's like all hands on deck, doesn't matter what happens. Who cares about tomorrow? You got to win playoff games. He didn't even want to push Holmes back then with dealing with a shoulder issue. So not saying that Holmes has any injuries right now, but it seems Aaron Boone definitely wants to preserve Holmes for the whole season there. So I kind of understand it, and even if it frustrates you and bothers you about some wins, for April and May, you do have to think long term. So I do understand it. But again, if a pitcher only threw 10 pitches there, didn't really struggle, had no wasn't under any sort of pressure there. I don't think there's anything wrong bringing him out. I'd rather just get that win right there, and then maybe the next 2 nights, worry about it then, because he may not even have a lead in any of those games, because maybe your offense doesn't score any runs in those next 2 games there. So if you have a win in the bag there, and you only threw like 10 pitches there, I just don't think it's a good. I understand you want to preserve him long term, so didn't like that move there. And of course, we saw it before, a couple of weeks before that. It was the weekend series in Cleveland. It was that the Sunday afternoon game. The Yankees tied up 4-4, go in extra innings there. They take like a 2-run lead. Really should have been more than that, but nevertheless, and instead of bringing Holmes back, which he only threw like 11 pitches there, they bring in Caleb Ferguson, and he had absolutely, there's an S word, I can't say that, but has to do something about messing up the bed, and he blows the lead, blows the game. The Yankees lose there in extra innings, and that's a win the Yankees had in the bag. And again, Boone refused to bring Holmes out yet for another inning when he only threw 11 pitches there and wasn't any under sort of duress or anything like that. Were like kind of low pressure pitches there. So those 2 wins that, again, Boone cost the Yankees perhaps, but you can understand a little bit they're thinking about Holmes long term, and I guess they want to try to keep him away from the 78 to 80 appearance mark for the season, because again, they're worried about the shoulder, which has bothered him in the past, and just overall they want to preserve him a little bit. So kind of frustrating there. So I can understand a little bit why Boone wants to do it, but I'm always siding with, look, if you got a win in the bag there, I'd rather just bring him out for another inning. Again, as long as you didn't have too much stress in the inning before that, get the win, and the next 2 nights, worry about the next 2 nights some other time, and that you always want to get the wins there, but I understand why Boone wanted to do it. Now, another Boone pitching decision that I really didn't like, and of course you saw it, one of the laughers in Milwaukee there, bringing Jose Trevino in the 9th inning just to throw, obviously you could do that now with the new baseball rules as long as you have like a 10 or more run winning by 10 or more runs, you can throw a position player out there to pitch there. Now, look, you only have 2 catchers, and Trevino obviously had surgery on his wrist ended his last season. Plus, he kind of had a little bit of a slow start of this season with some leg cramps and stuff like that, dealing with the calf. Why are you throwing out there as a pitcher? I understand he was lobbing him in there like batting practice, so he's not really putting torque in his body a little bit. But I thought that was a bad move by Boone. Again, you only have 2 catchers. You could use anybody to do that. I mean, I would rather Trent Grisham out there throwing lobbing balls in there, better off than Trevino. I mean, he's just starting catcher, and he's been hurt, and then it's coming off a wrist surgery, and you're throwing him out there to do something he normally doesn't do. I know, turns out he got out of the inning, no problem there, no injuries, but still, I think that was a little bit of a dangerous move by Boone. Didn't think it was a good decision. Again, you could have gone to anybody else to do that, other than, again, he's just starting catcher. If you lose him, then what do you got? Austin Wells, who's been okay, but you got rid of Ben Rovette. He's gone right now. So let's say you lose Trevino, where you're at right now. And again, he's one of the best framers in the game, helps the pitching staff. I just thought it was a little dangerous for him to throw him out there. What if he got to come back right up the middle and cracked him in the head? It's like that. Again, so, the Clay Holmes stuff you could debate a little bit, but bad move by Boone, putting Trevino out there, not a good idea. I guess we'll end the episode the Andy Rooney way, and that's shouting out the 100th birthday for Art Shalek, a former Major League player as well as former Yankee. Play his claim to fame that he came up in 1951 to replace Mickey Mantle there for a brief time. Not a distinguished career, but if you want to learn more about Art Shalek, go to the audio podcast version of Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Catch it out. Again, not only served time as a Yankee there in a brief period, but also World War II. A lot of good stuff, so go right now.